So this is what I come back to watching what's happening with the Mavs. Hmm. Okay then. What is going on, Bird brothers and sisters, MFFLs alike? Lindy End Zone in the building for the touchdown, taking the lead for the Philadelphia Eagles, one video at a time, and dropping buckets for the Dallas Mavericks. MFFLs, um, what happened? What happened? Well, of course, y'all seen the Woj bomb there, across other Woj bombs that happened over the course of the final hours of the NBA trading deadline, and well, the Mavericks they couldn't miss the party, and so it seems they have traded Kristaps Porzingis as well as a second round pick to the Washington Wizards in exchange for Davis Bertans and Spencer Dinwiddie. Well, I mean, we can only comment so much, I think, to me, in terms of the return players that we have received, other than the fact that they too have had injury issues in the past. I think they have both had ACL tears at one point. Not exactly sure what's going on with Spencer right now, but I do know that Davis Bertans is still trying to come back from a sprained foot. So, who knows how healthy they are going to be and ready to go when they get added to the rotation where they are put in the rotation. And, across the board, there's more negative than positive to this, especially looking across, the MFFLs and the fan base here, and just watching all the negativity going around. Well, where it boils down to me is the fact that I had a hunch of seeing this coming. And as much as I gave KP another chance after all the scrutiny he went through last year, between, again, only playing 49 games and coming back just to stink it up in the playoffs and not be there for Luka when he needed him most. That's who KP is, and it's hard to accept that fact because he's only 26 years old, and he used to be an all-star at such a young age, the way Luka is now. But obviously Luka is the better player. But that the point of the matter is the fact that Porzingis is probably not going to reach the level that he once had in his younger years as a New York Knick before the injuries. And I had this sad suspicion about it a long time ago, especially towards the time when we first got Porzingis, and the fact that you're talking about a 7'2", 7'3", stretch five that that plays the way he does, for one, and two, a kid. Well, because he's technically still a kid. He's younger than me, but for a kid to have knee issues the way that he does at that size, like that height, it more times than not it spells disaster, and I don't think he's ever going to play a full season again in his career. Unless he's on a extreme minutes restriction that he only plays 15 minutes as opposed to 29 to 32 minutes or even more. Um, and yeah, I do find myself a little bit sad that he is gone. Don't get me wrong. And I was one that supported KP in the worst times in Dallas for the short time that he was here. And I did want him to get his chances. But when it boils down to it, the NBA is a business. Um, the best ability is availability, and you're not doing the team any favors when you continue to stay hurt and not produce consistently on the basketball court. And while a lot of this sounds contradicting right now, to the matter of the players that we picked up in Spencer and Davis because they have injury issues of their own, we still have yet to see them play in a Dallas uniform for one. And, as we know, the fit between Spencer and Bradley Beal just did not work in Washington. He was used in two different purposes between Washington and when he was with the Nets. So that's one thing Jason Kidd and the coaching staff alike will have to figure out how he fits into the rotation, where they like him in the lineup, and the same goes for Davis Bertans. And while while he has the repetition of not being a great rebounder or a defender for that matter, one thing that a lot of us were looking forward to towards the trade deadline, aside from maybe getting a couple of bigs. Well, I wanted Miles Turner, but besides that, this team still felt at times that they were the void of shooters. Reggie Bullock is coming on late, and that's great to see for the money that we paid him. THJ is unfortunately injured. Sterling Brown is unfortunately injured, so you lost two shooters there, and Dallas is trying to compensate right now for that. And well, and as much as I loved Tim Hardaway Jr. getting his contract, again he's still playing like his inconsistent self. He'll be on fire. He'll be on fire more times than not, I guess, but still for the contract that he was given, and for games where he really goes ice cold, and it takes like 3 games to bounce back from that. It's not, it doesn't look good on paper when you throw the amount, like the dollar signs around, when you throw them around like that. And then, well, I guess for the end of the video here, it's not all necessarily doom and gloom. The Mavs have decided to hold on to Dorian Finney-Smith, and they have finalized a 4-year extension worth $52 million to keep Dorian around. And, it was one of the bigger suspicions that he was going to, garner more than that in free agency if we did not pick him back up. And, well, good for Dallas. They are maintaining part of their chemistry that has been talked about very importantly, through the eyes and mouth of Luka Doncic, their franchise guy, their number one guy. He's talked about a couple of times now the importance of chemistry and what it means to a basketball team, and well, that's one of the steps that they have took to ensure that it stays the same, despite Porzingis leaving and bringing in Spencer Dinwiddie and Davis Bertans. All we can hope for at this point is that the move works out for the better. And one of the ways it can work out for the better is if we get Spencer and Davis to play more games than Porzingis was inconsistently able to do. That's all you can ask for to this point. And while their contracts are terrible, they're easier to move off of than Kristaps to begin with, especially the fact that he has consistently to this time missed a substantial amount of games. And this spanned from the first year that we got KP. Last year, unfortunate consequence again. And then this year, it's same book, different page. It's a shame, but nonetheless, I do wish the best for KP. I loved having him as a Maverick, but like I said earlier in the video, the best ability is availability, and that's one thing that we weren't able to get out of KP. The experiment, the continued experiment between him and Luka just didn't work in the end. And if we felt that there was still something there, maybe they don't move on from KP at this point. Maybe through Jason Kidd instead of Rick Carlisle, that Jason could have gotten KP to play better in the playoffs and put him in more favorable matchups and situations. If that was the case, he'd still be here. And I would have to imagine that in some capacity, Luka had to sign off on this. So, all this talk about sell the team, Cuban doesn't know what he's doing, and yada yada. Well, it's not just Cuban in these decisions. Dirk's in that front office too. Michael Finley's in that front office too. Pretty sure JJ Barea just got in there recently as well. Nico Harrison. There's a lot more. There's a lot more hands in the pot than we think. But ultimately, I would hope that they would run this by Luka, their franchise guy, and he would have to sign off on this too. So it is what it is to this point. And once we get more information and once we see some introductory press conferences, hopefully from Davis Bertans and Spencer Dinwiddie, can get some more information from there, see what their mindsets are coming into a new team. And we just have to hope for the best. We just have to hope for the best at this point. At least we're not some other teams in the league right now. At least we're not Detroit. At least we're not the Knicks. At least we're not the Lakers. Oh, good Lord. Our situation could be a lot worse off than we are now. And I'm just grateful that the team is trying to do anything to better themselves, even if this trade does not look to be so on the surface. Time will tell where it puts us, but I think it does help put the Mavericks in a more favorable situation contractually, trying to move off of players like Spencer and Davis instead of Porzingis, who, if they held on to him any longer and the injury issue persisted, it would have been a lot more difficult than it was at this point in time to move on from him, because that just continues to be a larger risk in finding a team that would take him off our hands. And that's where I ultimately stand on this situation. But, well, thought this was going to be a shorter video, but if you made it to the end, I do appreciate you listening to everything that I had to say. And, well, I didn't start off the video like I normally do, but love to have you a part of the End Zone fam if you like the diversity of fandom that I bring to the table. And the easiest way you can do that is to hit the subscribe, like button. Also assists the algorithm for what it's worth. But I just this is my thing. This is what I love to do. So I mean, either way, I love the support no matter how much it is. So I'm gonna head out of here, everybody, brothers and sisters, MFFLs. You know, let me know down in the comments what y'all think on this Mavericks trade and what has transpired today at the trade deadline. And be sure to tune in at 10 p.m. this evening where we get some Eagles talk in with Desert Eagle 90. I'm very excited for this one. First time guest on the channel, but I am pretty familiar with him. But still a first to have him on the channel, and hopefully many more collaborations. Not just with DE, but anybody else. Anybody else that is willing to come and hang out with myself and Lindy. But that'll do it for this one. Have a good night, everyone. Fly Eagles, fly, bleed green. Go Mavs, MFFLs. It'll be okay. Take care of yourselves, everyone. Stay safe, stay healthy, and I will see you next time.